And welcome. We're back. Divisional round preview. Yes, we recorded the Ravens-Texans one 4 days ago. Me and Jordan are magically back wearing the same things a little bit later with it. We're in scene now. We got Brian, the main man, Johnson, joining us here to represent the Niners side of it a little bit. Me and Jordan, maybe we'll try to bring him down a little bit here and build it back up for the 5:15 start on Fox, like you said, with Gregory Olsen calling it from the color side here, Brian. Big game, Green Bay Packers, Niners. We've had this game, feels like almost every couple of years we get this one in the playoffs. Different styles, though, all the way back to the Rodgers, the Young, the Favre days to now, where we have Love and Purdy. Not the names we would have thought of 15 years ago. Brian, the main man, Johnson, how fired up are you for this game tonight?
I'm pretty pumped. There's going to be a lot of Rams fans at work, so I'll make sure I wear my Purdy jersey. And they can't say one word. They cannot say one word.
One word. They lost it last week, so you get down there in Southern California, gets to rock the Niners gear there. Jordan, 1 versus 7 seed. Your initial thoughts of this matchup?
On paper, if you're looking at 1 versus 7, you're like, it's 49ers all day. But what in the back of my mind, rest versus rust, you've got the Packers coming off a phenomenal win over in Dallas, big upset there. They're riding with all the momentum in the world. So I just kind of wonder how that's going to play into a team that's been playing playoff football for the last couple of weeks, including last week, where they've had to win every game the last probably 2 or 3 weeks of the season, versus a team that's rested and kind of knew they were already in the playoffs, knew they were going to be a top seed, knew they were going to host a game. Just kind of see how that all recipes together there.
Now, Jordan Love, he looked pretty darn good on Saturday against the Cowboys. Let's start to scare Brian, and then we'll get Brian's take on it. Jordan, how do the Packers pull off this W? Like, is it Love making incredible throws off his back leg? Is it Aaron Jones? What is the key to this Packers team pulling off a massive upset?
I think the key for the Packers is to score often and score early. They're really going to have to make the 49ers one-dimensional. Got to make Brock Purdy pass, kind of take away that Christian McCaffrey run-style offense that they kind of get behind and they kind of weigh you down on if they slip behind. So
it'll be interesting. Who's the defensive end? Is it Gregory's the defensive end for them? He could probably ruin the game for the Niners a little bit if he gives them pressure. Then the Packers have been a little weak in the middle at the linebacker position. We'll see how Shanahan draws up plays there with it. For me, the key, Brian, maybe you're thinking the same thing as a Niners fan, is Love has shown he can get hot. Like, he can make some like crazy throws off the back foot a little bit. And then I heard you and Tyler this week on TMB starting, like, you're a little bit more confident in the cornerbacks, but there's still some concern there a little bit. Is that where you're nervous with the Packers game? What's your biggest kind of concern facing the Packers?
Yeah, if we can't get continuous pressure and he just gets to drop back and just, pick apart our secondary.
Now, Love it's such a weird thing the Packers are able to do this, where they kind of have a guy sit behind and they kind of develop this guy. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, he's a free agent in a couple of years already. So we'll kind of see. The Jones factor to me will be interesting, along with the weather, how that plays out today with the Niners game. How bad is that rain, Brian, out there? How does that affect the Packers on offense? I would think it would a little bit. I know it's not a massive deal sometimes, but that rain in northern, you get that little wind involved there. It does get a little crazy. So we'll see how Love does with that. He's obviously used to passing in bad weather there. But Niners keys to the game here. Johnson, what's the biggest key for your Niners to pull this out?
Especially if it's a rain game, you'll probably see a heavy dose of Eli Mitchell and CMC through the running game.
Yeah, I would think so too. Now, Jordan, as we talk keys for the Niners here, they're the favorite. So it's not necessarily they shouldn't win, but what's always the main thing in a game like this versus the Packers? Is it Bosa? Is it where do you think that big key is for the Niners here?
I think the key is going to be on defense in my mind. It's going to be if Chase Young and Bosa can get together and cause havoc and make Jordan Love's night a living hell. That's kind of the formula defensively that's going to really work for him. And getting Jordan Love to cough up that turnover, because once you turn the ball over against the 49ers and they can grind it out with McCaffrey and they can get those short plays going with the tight end room, and then you you can do the stretch play, and it just get really kind of creative with it. So,
Brian, the most interesting thing to me is, let's just say there's a world where you guys are down 10 in the fourth. Let's just say that happens, right? Let's just say that you get in you're not playing good, you're down 10 early. Remember that kind of that thing on Shanahan right now has been, can he come back when you're down? So I'm not saying this is the game where it's going to happen, but you just think through playoff scenarios. You guys are the favorite. So like, even if you're down, I still feel like you're capable of coming back. You guys can put points on the board. I just wonder from a psychological standpoint, if that did happen, how you guys would respond. I would think you would be able to. That's just one thing that's kind of keeping me in the back of my mind a little intrigued. And this is the one thing the Niners have differently than they've had the last 5 years. Moody as the kicker. They do not have good old Robbie in there at the games to finish it off. And I do think that might be a little at factor. Maybe if it's not this week, I do have concerns, though, about the kicking game just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's there's wind and rain going on in this game, and it's a little shaky with Moody. I don't know if I want to go down to a kicker making a big 46-yard field goal.
Especially after that, when he missed that one in Cleveland, right, earlier this year, where he could have won it there. Well, they would have won the game with the wind blowing there. So
I know the game didn't mean much against the Rams, but he was god awful in that game.
Yeah, in the playoffs, the kickers are important. Usually, your team doesn't just usually win by 30. Usually they have to hit a field goal here or there, even if it's to put you up by 9 or it's a 2-point score, even or something. So that, to me, is an underrated part of this game a little bit going into it.
I was a little surprised Shanahan, like as soon as the reporter asked the question, "Are you going to sign anybody else?" he just automatically said, "No, we're going with Moody."
No, we drafted Moody in the 3rd round. We're not doing it. We took a kicker in the 3rd round. We cannot give up on him now. Out of Michigan, right? Michigan kicker there.
Yeah,
so,
Michigan kicker.
All right.
And kickers haven't been doing that well. The Bengals from Michigan, and he got awful.
And he took a lot of heat early, taking that 3rd round pick with him too. So Moody, this is your time to shine. Nobody cares about the regular season. We'll see if you can hit a big kick for the Niners when they need it. Niners are heavy favorites in this game, though. So we'll see if it even comes down to a kick. Final score. What do you got, Jordan? What's your final score prediction here?
I honestly, as much as I want it to be a game, I think the Niners. I think it goes into halftime close, but give me the Niners by 10. I think you're looking at a 20-30 game.
That's fair. I think that's. I mean,
or just I don't see much of a competition. Just the Niners have too much. Just Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey, those guys gonna be running the field rampant. So.
And then coming off that bye week, you would think the energy would be high at home. Brian, what's your score prediction here?
I have to adjust it with the rain. I'm gonna go 24-10 49ers.
A little bit lower scoring. I got 34-20, so we both have 10. The Packers I thought the Cowboys were gonna crush the Packers last week, and I was totally wrong. I should have gone with my Tyler's instinct of the Cowboys always blow it. But I decided to stay with good old Jerry, his team, and they couldn't get the job done for me. So final score predictions, we all have the Niners. We all have them kind of winning big here in this game. I think for me, I'll speak for myself. I think it's just the Packers. Like usually these lower seeds, they hit a wall. So unless the Niners don't show up, right, or they turn it over like pick 6, like these crazy things that really swing the game where the Niners have to fight back or something like that, as long as you guys don't turn the ball over, I just feel like you guys are going to rock through this a little bit. I do think the Packers, though, I'm interested to see how Love plays. That is my biggest takeaway. Like we saw that against the Cowboys on the road. Jordan, if he puts up another 30 points on a road playoff game, but even if they lose to the Niners, I mean he's going to start getting these waves of this guy's net. He's going to start getting this.
You're definitely thinking about like maybe some Daniel Jones numbers in the offseason. For contract wise.
Yeah, I hear you.
You're gonna have to give them some kind of extension moving forward. So
yeah, that would be interesting. Then the Packers, they'll obviously have that quarterback paid, which will affect the rest of the roster spots moving forward. But all right, as we get into as we kind of wrap it up here, as our prediction show here between the Niners and Packers tonight, 5:15 Pacific time, 8:15 out there on the East Coast. And in Ohio out there, you got the late start out there. I can't even imagine a game starting at 8:15. Incredible. So I think the latest game one time kicked off was like an 8:00 Monday night game. Like way back, like when they did those weird double headers or something, like when they first started with that, it was like, I think Raiders Broncos like kicked off at 8:00. That was insane. It's like the latest one. I can't even imagine that. So, all right. So that's our final score predictions between the Packers and the Niners. Guys, what are, instead of the first players that come to mind, is there a game immediately between the Packers and Niners that jumps out to you history-wise? Brian, I know you probably got one. Let me get it.
I'm going to go more of a negative game. It was us coming off the championship 94, 95. Mike Holmgren takes over for the Packers, and he rides in on a Harley, and I just had a bad feeling like the Packers are going to win that game.
And that was the one where was that the championship round? That was the championship game, or was that not? Was that
the divisional?
And then they lost to the Cowboys, or did they beat?
Yeah, they lost to the Cowboys.
They lost to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys beat the Steelers. Okay,
it came down to the last week of the season. If we had beaten the Falcons, we would have had home field advantage over Dallas, and we wouldn't even had to play Green Bay.
See, those are the forgotten things about these last games. Like, you forget about the scenarios that could easily change a lot of this along the way. That's funny. You took the negative route on it. Of course, you have your Owens catch there. That I'm sure. Jordan, you have one that jumps out.
Not specifically. I didn't grow up with a lot of NFC games, especially being here in the Midwest. But I mean, it's character-wise. I mean, I guess it would be definitely the Favre era against the 49ers. We got a lot of Favre games here in Ohio.
Brian hated Mr. Favre for a long time, right?
He just owned us. He came. It was the saying. He came to San Francisco and beat the 49ers every time.
I mean, him and Donald Driver probably, I want to say it had to be almost a decade ago, came in and kind of closing out the 49ers from going to the playoffs. So I think that's one of the games that kind of stick out of my mind.
Yeah,
I remember the big debate was why did they put Marquez Pope on Antonio Freeman?
That's a name I've heard of. Marquez Pope. He took a lot of rash after that game. For me, it's the Owens, the wild card round. 3 seconds left on the clock, basically. Young from the 35-yard line down the middle. Owens gets rocked and holds on to the ball. He's crying on the sideline with Steve Mariucci there. Holmgren stunned at the last minute that they lose that game. That's one that immediately just sticks right out to me. Owens. So that one's going to go right there forever. So those are a couple there for the it has that deep history.
How
about a couple years ago, Johnson? The block in the snow. You guys were up. You guys were down 10-3. 5 minutes left. Green Bay. You guys blocked the kick, tie it up. You win 13-10 off Mr. Robbie Gould as well there. So that was another amazing game where Jimmy G somehow, it wasn't even a Jimmy G game, but he gets kind of a little credit for it. That was that weird run where you guys won every game by like 3 points to get there. So that was one that also stuck out to me. And then the Kaepernick one. I mean, he had a great game. I remember in like 2014, I believe it was, against the Packers in the snow as well against Rodgers. So you guys and then you guys lost, I think, to the Seahawks in the NFC Championship round. But you guys have had some good battles here recently, and you guys have seemed to come up on top. Wasn't it a few years ago where you guys like ran the ball for like 50 minutes of the game or something like that? Some weird playoff game or something like that. Jordan, you remember that?
Yeah,
I do that very vaguely.
I mean, they held the ball I think like Jimmy threw 6 passes or something like that.
Score was still there.
Oh yeah, that was the NFC Championship game.
I mean, you guys just ran. I like the whole game. I was like, "What is going on here?" You didn't even have to do anything. You just had to say hi to it. It was a weird game. You guys dominated that one from the beginning, but some good rivals there between the Packers and Niners. Great uniform matchup as well between these two teams. So, Jordan, any final thoughts on this game here before we wrap it up?
No, I think it's going to be entertaining. Like I said, the Packers are riding a wave of momentum, and it's all about how close can they keep it in the first half going into the final 2 quarters of the game. So I think the 49ers are going to run away with it, but hopefully we get some entertainment. So
thank you for tuning in here. The minute 40-13 Niners. That's what Brian, the main man Johnson, wants to hear. You can be stressed out.
People have been kind of talking smack about Purdy. There's a former executive from the Raiders that said that it's 3 quarterbacks and Brock Purdy in the playoffs. And I'm gonna say the saying they say when they talk trash about Purdy: they say fuck around and find out.
Are you the graph person there with it? Hey, A.B. Trask. Hey, Al Davis loved A.B. Trask. Al hired her. You can't do that to her. Yeah, I heard that comment too. They had that yesterday on KBR, the local radio station out here in the Bay Area. So I got that was up there with it. So thank you, Mitty, for tuning in here, giving us your prediction on the game. Like you said, I'm looking forward to the game. The night late game here, so I'll be able to kind of check it out. We'll be recapping that one tomorrow on Fat Boy Fadeaway, and of course we'll do that on Talking the Gridiron on Sunday night. Johnson used to be on those, but now a little post office life has changed that with him there. But we're doing good. Hey, job's better than Talking the Gridiron. So hey, do that first. But Jordan, we got a big game tonight. We did our preview with the Texans already. Ravens 1:30. Johnson. Don't get too stressed out tonight, all right? Don't get too stressed out. Don't do anything crazy if it goes wrong.
I'll have my earbuds on listening to the game.
Yeah, I like it. On the phone. I expect that calendar ripped off the wall if they lose today as well. Get that Niners calendar off. They lose it as well.
I did get a bigger calendar.
Attaboy. It wasn't the Chevron calendar that you got, the little pocket calendars. I like it. Who's on that? Bosa over there? Who's that? Is that
Hugh Funga.
He could be useful in a game like this, but he's out today with the game. So he's out. All right. That's the preview here. Variety Sports Network Divisional Round. Me and Jordan have hit the first couple mornings. Brian, it was awesome to have you on one. I haven't done a show with you in a while, so that was fun, my friend. All right. For Jordan Maxson, for Brian, the main man Johnson, I'm Darren Breyer. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.